about my Raider shirt.
That's right. Don't bother me. No. I'm okay with that. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another reselling show. And yes, once again, I am at an undisclosed location. So, hey, welcome. As you can see, we got a special guest.
Yes, once again.
Yeah.
I am at an undisclosed location.
You know what? That's my fault. No, I got it on mute.
Hey, welcome. As you can see, we got a special guest.
That must be me.
Usually it's me, and I was like, no, for once I had it on.
It was gonna be me, but I hit the mute button on StreamYard so that I can mute it on.
So hey, we got a special guest. As you can see, we got Louie, the Lone Star Picker. As you can tell by the title, like I said, as we've been going through with our show, we have been talking a lot about new resellers or sellers, period. We've gone through, different things, dealing with returns and all the other kind of stuff. And we talked about sourcing. And one of the things we wanted to talk about is different types of sourcing. And one of the things, talking to Louie and everything, I know he does a lot of flea market stuff. And as you can see by the title, we're going to talk about, the flea market business and what we could do from that standpoint, how you guys can take advantage of it, what to look for, what not to look for, so on and so forth. But before we get going, let's go ahead and start off with my compadre, Big O. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. What's up, everybody? My name is Oscar Cubanaso, and it's funny the way that everything works out. The title of the show, I didn't know until earlier today what we were going to go ahead and talk about, and then I'm glad to have Louie on with us to talk about this particular topic, and especially the fact that it has to do with flea markets. So I know that there's a lot of interesting things that Louie's going to be able to share. We can all share. And, I was just in a flea market this past weekend, and I hadn't been to a flea market in a while. So it's funny the way everything works out.
How did it feel? Like, not just because of like what's been going on. Well, yeah, because of what's going on, but also like you've gone as kids, right? Both of you guys, because it's got a bad perception when we say flea market now, like, I don't know about you guys. I grew up across the street from one.
See, check this out. And it's true. People do have a bad perception of flea market, and it has to do with the transliteration of the word and where it originates from. Because if the word flea market really comes from what they call it in France, and the word for it in France, that means outdoor bazaar. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's
and there's so much mixed connotation too, like and you got to remember the rich history that lack of a better word, flea market, or like you said, it's a bazaar, I like to call it market. I like when these guys now lately, they go market days and this and that.
So before we get into some more, would you introduce yourself there, our special guest? Louie, thank you, my brother. We appreciate you coming on. Short notice, love it, man. So go ahead, and for those of you who may not know who this fine gentleman is, who are you there, fine sir?
Hey, I'm a content creator. I guess I am now. It's like I never thought I'd say that. I'm like always like, nah. But I am as of late, I found out I'm going to be a 3/4 part reseller, which means you're still 100%, pretty much reselling all the time. But recently I got a part-time job, very few hours. I'm a consultant on the side. I do reselling for the most part, and I like to broaden my whole spectrum of like how and what I consider my business model. So my business model is not the same as your business model. So it's like I like to make sure that I have a constant flow of resources coming in. So if I got multiple sources of income, for me, the more the merrier. I can't put my eggs in one basket. It's just my experience tells me never to do that. So I'm this kind of guy that just like I like to say I'm a jack of all trades. I like this new experience and excursion, dabbling into this thing called content creation, and not just with YouTube. I'm playing around with this Instagram too. So that's who I am. I've been around the block a few times. I've done corporate, and I like working for myself.
No, it's definitely It definitely has its advantages. I mean, most people like it. I mean, yeah, you could make a lot of good money working for yourself, but the truth of the matter is a lot of it has to do with time, right? You're in charge. You really are in charge of your time, and that's the one thing that everybody always wants to go ahead and take charge of. But as we were saying, with the flea market and stuff like that, you're right. The flea market always had kind of that little bit of a, oh, you went to the flea market? You're going to a flea market, and stuff like that, and stuff, all that type of stuff. Well, you're right. It has gone ahead and evolved as what it once was, right? Because at one time, it was just a field and some tables and so on and so forth. Now, I mean, they're converting, old, buildings into indoor, flea markets and so on and so forth. But from a, from a sourcing standpoint, Louis, of when, how is it? I mean, is it truly a viable option for people to add? Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know if you could do it all the time and that be your main place where you source. But I mean, is it worth your time to add that into the places that you source?
So that if I were to answer like straight out, like yes, no, this and that. For me, it's a pie chart algorithm. It's like really complicated because for some people they may go, heck no, I don't like this, option in it. I don't like doing the physicality. I think, like in body, mind, and spirit, I got to put a lot of my physical energy into, like, if I were to do, and I do, by the way, I do flea markets per se, but probably in the last year or two, I've shifted it to what they have coined a new term. But you guys, I know you're not, you've heard it, so I know it's not your first rodeo, but there's this thing called pop-ups. Say, to me, a market is a market. When you go to, like Oscar was saying, they call it a bazaar, call it this or that. Depends where you put that market. It's going to be, considered a market. But what kind of market are you going to? You're going to this one, you go on the street. You go to Europe, and like in the United Kingdom, they call them car boots. Why do they call them that? Because they actually do it out of their car. And, they'll sit there and they throw all their stuff there. And to me, that's like an extension of old European ways and methods of like, here's my crap. I got it. You want to barter, you want to trade, you want to do this and that. To answer your question, is it a good means of sourcing? For me, there's a potential two-sided of the coin. And that coin has three sides. Don't forever forget the edge. We'll get to that. But, like, I'm being a smart ass, but I got to play on it, So you spin that coin, whether you're gambling, taking a risk, you're talking about like your returns, or you're talking about your investment, it's like, how are you going to get that investment back? So I have been both and it's harder for me to source while I'm a flea marketeer, if you want to call that. I'm vending as a vendor. It's not that easy because you have to put all your attention and energy on your good. Unless you got somebody watching and helping manning you. It's like the old days. It's a free for all. You walk away to go to the bathroom, you come back and half your table's gone, And it's like, what do you want? No, but I did that the other day and it was fun. But I want to say, so I'm like Oscar. It's about a year went by and I forgot how much I kind of like going to a market. And it depends, there's different types of broad markets. Now I went to one that is probably about 30 minutes from my house in a small little town, it's actually south. It's almost like going to San Antonio. And I went there and it just reminded me when I was a kid. I grew up across the street in Silicon Valley, which is in California. This is before it became all industrial. There was a farm right across the street from one of the biggest flea markets in the West Coast. So I know this dirtiness, I know the griminess, I know the bad experiences that can happen. I've seen people get pickpocketed. I've seen people get into fights. I've just over money, and there was kind of this dirtiness. And then there's a place to go get food, and there's this and that, Now they're a little more family friendly. So I went the other day and I remember going, wow, it's been a year or more since it's probably been longer since I've been to a flea market. And I like being able to get out and get that exercise, but I like the hunt. And I went, there you go. you forgot all about that hunt. And I've been doing this since I was probably 5 or 6 years old with an adult, and maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10 when I was by myself. And I found I can go on about stories about that. Yes, you can find gems. You can find gold still out there. It's just like a flea market. It's just like a yard sale, a garage sale, an estate sale, except that they're doing it under a what? They're doing it under private property,
right?
As opposed to a street or something. We're doing the same thing. It's just, where are you sourcing? Meaning, and it really is where. It's a logistics thing. It's like, I don't care if you go on Facebook Marketplace and you go meet your car with another guy at a gas station at Walmart. You're still trading goods. You're in a kind of a private kind of, could be shady deals. It could be, underground kind of deals. Like, hey, I got this. Don't ask me where I got it. Just want it or not. Okay, fuck you. I'm not gonna get it. And so there's that same kind of mentality. Like, if you go back and you really read your like history books, you read old good stories and stuff. I'm trying to remember this one, like where they got the markets in Arabia and they got the carpets out there, the carpet baggers, and people are selling these gems, and the guy's always trying to get $1 more, and it's like, no, he's grabbing your hand, no. I remember going in Italy, but no, in New York, the first time I went to New York, this Indian guy comes up and he's like grabbing my hand. I'm like, what the fuck, I'm gonna punch you, and he's like trying to sell me something, and I was like, just come here, and I'm like, it was just funny to see how that marketing works and where you're at and your demographic can really play a big role. Do you know how to source? Do you know how to bargain? Are you a good communicator? All those factors can really play in it. If it's not your cup of tea, I say just go pay top dollar, pay for your convenience, because you're not going to get a good deal. It's the game we play. We're resellers. We call it a hustle, but really what you're doing is you're grinding, right?
Yeah, no, and you're right from the standpoint of is that the people, the ones who they go on the hunt, like you said. The truth of the matter is, it's really no different than a garage sale, a yard sale, for quite like even almost like an estate sale, right? You're going and you're looking for those gems. You're looking for that, that diamond in the rough. And let's face it, also, you are looking for that person who doesn't know what they have.
Yeah, there you go. You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I know you do. You get a lot of T-shirts and stuff like that, right? So you're looking for that guy who doesn't realize he has single stitch, T-shirts.
Well, let me give you an example. It could be what I think you're alluding to. Like, everybody thinks single stitch is all about being. There's modern day, like 2000s to 2010s. There's some single stitch out there. Doesn't make it vintage. Technically, under the direct definition of vintage is, Oscar, back me up, or Mike, is technically it's got to be 20 years or more, to the date, to be considered the and it's such, and I'll be honest, I use it all the time, but I hate the cliche, just the running in the ground. Oh, this is vintage. You go on think of a modern day story that's on a movie, like that's only just came out in the last 5 years, and they'll put that shirt up and look at this vintage shirt. I'm like, it's like, come on, it's this movie came out 2 years ago. You're telling me this is a vintage shirt? Go jump in the lake, And so it's like you're kind of like, so you got to look at different things. But back to what you said was a very good point. You're there to go see. Let's just say we're talking about shirts, because I'm a T-shirt guy. You got your sneakerheads. I'm a T-shirt rat. I coined the term. The kids don't like it when I call it that, because I'm like the OG at wherever I go. Now flea markets are not the only place I go to. And I got into it with somebody. They go, "Oh, Louie, you go to the bins," and I'm like, "Shh, I don't need everybody to know what I'm doing. The way I source is shut up, And so I'm in there with kids, and I'm not kidding. The other day I was like, "How old are you?" He's like, "I'm 14. I'm still a sophomore." I'm like, "What the? You're what?" And it's like, and this kid is selling shoes and sneakers and shirts for like hundreds of dollars. I'm like, "Where did you get this?" I love it, because I was like his age too, doing that at the flea market. Now, back to the whole marketing thing. I want to ask you both, what is the uniqueness of a flea market as opposed to, a random market like a yard sale or an estate sale?
The hunt. You said it when you said it. For me, it's always the hunt. I mean, it's one thing, and the experience that I just had this weekend, I show up at the actual flea market, and the moment that I get off my car and I start walking in through those double chain link fence, and then
Remember how you felt?
you see the market, you see,
Look at his face.
you see everybody, you see people walking by, going into, you got the fresh produce over here, then you
I
got
love it.
people laying down with their blankets on the ground off the back of a pickup truck, and then you start walking through all the aisles. They got indoor and outdoor, and when I get in there, I can do a whole flea market very quickly because I look, I see, I get in, I go up to the people, I talk, how much you want for this, what are you looking to get out of this, and move on to the next
that's one. That's what I was alluding to, Oscar, was like, what is like as opposed to like a yard sale or garage sale or whatever, in whether it's a Facebook marketplace or an estate sale, better yet, I love moving sales because people gotta get that crap out. Thank you, I'm the guy, for this, only this much, because you got to get it out tomorrow, now it's this much, but like when you're at the flea market, you have multiples. It's like having 25 garage sales at once, unless you're lucky enough to go to that. Hey, next week's the neighborhood yard sale, and even then, that's a little random because Granny down the street's not going to have what you want. They're gonna. This lady next door has 20 kids, so you're gonna have kids clothes out the yin yang. But like you said, it is a hunt. It's a hunt, and so looking for that single stitch is like not my only desire. I love it because those are just what I call provenance. It's just indications of like, oh, how do I make sure that when I say vintage, I want it to be in the 90s, really want 80s and 70s, especially if it's that, it's that brand like Levi. I want the big E on the Levi because that thing is pre-60s, and that thing, you go sell to some Japanese for a couple $1,000s, right? So you want vintage, but just because it's vintage doesn't mean everything vintage is valuable. I learned that quick. 20% of what I find, I throw it back half the time. And it's like single stitch. It's beautiful. The image is nothing. What am I going to do with it? It's got stains on it. It's ripped, and it's like, but it's not even something fire. You know what I mean? Like it's like something we all would recognize. Like, oh, nice old this team or this and that and blah 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 blah. Whatever it is, branding, Warner Brother, Walt Disney, NFL, all those vintage stuff, baseball. Those things, those you don't want to throw out, even if they got holes and things like that.
Yeah.
The other day, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But the other day, I have a master's in arts. People don't know this about me. I use that to my advantage. I'm walking all the way out, and I'd like you said, Oscar. I did a quick round on here. I'll shut up, and then I want to hear you guys. But it's like I'm going out, and I'm like, I got whiplash, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh my God, I go and I saw the same lady I bought a shirt from, and I forgot I bought a couple. Well, this is the first one I started with because I parked my car on the street illegally just so I can walk in the flea market quicker instead of going through all the potholes. And this is like an old, like those dirty, grimy ones. It's like, it's out in the middle of the country, and so I go in there and I'm like, what the hell is that? And there was this artist who I know because I studied art in New York City. And I was like, his image was on this thing, but it was by a company called Vara. And they're like some big fashion, you can only order their stuff online or unless you got the little boutique. And we have one up in the rich part of our neighborhood. They got plenty of them in New York and in Florida and stuff. But I was like, Vara. And I'm like, I'm not even looking it up. But why did they have this artist? And it was like a one-type hit on the front. And at the bottom of the shirt, it had a brand. Kind of like, I'm trying to think, Champion has, remember the old Champion has their logo at the bottom, and then they got on this, and this thing was like branded out. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I knew this is something you can only see at a fine arts museum like MoMA or one of the contemporary museums. And it was this photographer who got in big trouble with the government because they were trying to take his money away because he was he was photographing nude, but it was the subject matter. It was like open sexuality and stuff like that. And the guys were like, so I saw that shirt and it had the tags. I was like, oh my God, this thing is dead stock. So I was like, I saw one on the other side and I was like, it's like, how much for this? And she's like, $3. Oh, okay. So this one, $5, the one I wanted, she went up, and I was like, I don't care. And I showed it to this guy and we were like analyzing it after I bought it. I was like, I bought it for $5. that thing's probably a couple $100 shirt. And I was just like, because we looked it up and this guy helped me find the provenance online. It was a one like mini series. They only printed like 50 of those shirts or whatever.
Oh, wow.
You know. So he's like, do you know what you got? And I found in the middle of nowhere in the in the middle of this country hick flea market. So yeah, it is the hunt, but it's also consolidation and multiple factors about a flea market. If you think about it, there's more there. There's a little psychology.
Yeah, there's something also that's unique to the flea markets, because I don't know, I'm sure that we've all been to those garage sales and estate sales that you show up and it's like the people that are holding the estate sales and the garage sales, it's like they almost don't want to sell anything, right? They don't want to come to a deal. They have all of their prices jacked up above eBay price. Maybe you would be saving on the shipping, but that's about it. They don't want to sell anything.
Yeah, especially like the first day. It's like they don't even have 25% off. They're like these escalated prices, and it's like, oh, we got to play your game. At least at a flea market, excuse me, how much is this? $500. And I'm like, okay. Does it work? Okay, $200. You know, and it's like it goes down. I'm like, what? How'd you go from 5 to 200? You're breaking my balls. You know, it's like, come on. But at least there you got it. It's expediency. It's expediency. We don't have time as resellers to go like drive for another 30 minutes to go to the next location. That's why I was kind of getting to that. Yeah, we love the hunt, but you can do the same hunt at an estate sale and this and that. But there's this tyranny there where it's like, I don't get to go boom, 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 boom. Okay, I don't like that guy. That guy was rude to me. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to the next one at the flea market. Right. Screw you. You know, and it's like, you were rude to me. You know, it's like whatever. You know, and you come back next week and he's your best friend and you get the best deal or whatever. You know,
yeah, but it's like, you. Yeah.
See, that's it. You get to see those same characters and you learn. You kind of go, you know what? That guy he had a low blood sugar. You know, it's like he wasn't mad at me. He was pissed off because he couldn't drink a beer or whatever. It's funny because you make familiarity with the way you source. So like you go back and let's say you shop at Walmart all the time and you're, hey Mary, how you doing? You put the toys out? Yeah. Okay, I'll wait right here. Boom. And you're getting it's all about what do we do? We're communicating and building relationships.
And you build and you get to it. And like you said, it's kind of like you go to the same flea market all the time and you wind up getting that guy.
Yeah.
Right. That guy knows, hey, when Louie comes around, Louie always spends some money. He stops. So you know what? I know when Louie's going to come around, I can go ahead and I can get, I can get Louie to, he'll want to buy from me. I can work out a deal with him. I make money. He does what he does and everything is great and everything. I think the thing, I think the thing is that like you hit it. That's one thing I was thinking when you said, what is it? It's a matter of going around and being able to see and hit, multiple tables, multiple vendors, all in a short period of time without having to go in and out of the car, from that standpoint. I think the other thing is that, depending on the one thing I've seen is some of the flea markets now is you are seeing more, there are some that you still have a bunch of new stuff.
Yep.
And I think, and you have, a couple of people that will have basically, the same stuff, right? They might have
You're gonna laugh when I tell you the last one I went to was a New Yorker. Guess what? He was from the Bronx, and I picked him out right away. I was like, okay, so part of this whole thing about sourcing, you go into a situation as soon as you get out of your car, like you said, you're putting your keys in your pocket. Do I got my money? You're sizing the place up. And I walked up this table. I was like, fucking New Yorker, all the way. He had all this fucking fake Gucci on his goddamn table. I was so mad. Oh, you piece of shit, And it's like, and he's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And he started like, what? So we started talking. And then after a while, like he was my best friend. He's like, so you did what? I'm like, you don't know about Slobby Robbie from Netflix? He's like, no, I never heard of it. Look him up. Me and my buddy Luis, we interviewed him. And this guy is like he's like a millionaire, but he owns 3 businesses. What? I never heard about it. And he sells fake Gucci. I'm like, no, he doesn't call fake. They're like knockoffs, like an artist made,
A rendition.
Exactly.
So, but that brings up a good point.
Okay.
What you're saying is that how much of a fear level do you have of potentially buying something that isn't real? Like, do you purposely shy away from certain products because you know, man?
The only thing that'll make me shy away is price. I'll fucking roll the dice. Like, I don't care if it's. Let me just tell you something. So I don't just do flea markets, and it's funny is I do better at flea markets. I've walked away with a K in my pocket, cash, well, with a little Venmo, but you know, it's all at 1K after. And I'll tell you what, but like 1 or 2 days prep, okay, because it takes time to do this stuff. You know, I'm talking getting the stuff organized and this and that, and you got to be, you know, this. Do I have this? Do I have this? And then the day of, you got to get up early, and then it's just like game on. Let's go to the circus. But I bought stuff, and I found like stuff, and I just know that I'm not going to ever list anything like that. At a pop-up, now, I don't know did we talk about pop-ups? Pop-ups are the new trendy, kitschy, excuse me for saying, but the hipstery kind of like, if you got a brewery down the street down in Miami, and it's, you know, at the end of the block, you know, that part of the neighborhood where they got a new brewery, tell you what, they got a DJ there, they got everybody, hey, boom, and then somebody's already coming, hey, can we borrow that corner where nobody's sitting? And yeah, we're gonna put like 20 tents up and pop, and all of these vendors are coming in selling whatever it is, their hemp products, their purses, their vintage clothes, and the jewelry, and all the kitsch. You know, so yeah, you can get away with selling something like that, and I wouldn't care, you know, because people want it. Why do you think it's being made? Like in New York, in Chinatown, with multiples, it's gonna continue to be made. Now, will I go sell it on eBay? Hell no. You know, I'm not stupid. You know, I'm not wrong, but I'm not out to go sell fake gooch. You know, it's like, but what am I doing with it? What is my intentions for behind? This guy was like, he had the fake shades on, he had the whole setup, and he was straight from the Bronx too. I mean, like, you know, he was like Benny Blanco. I was like, come on, get out of here trying to fake it. Shut the hell up. And he started laughing. He goes, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from everywhere. Don't worry about it. You know? And he's like, I like you, but you're a troublemaker. And he's like, yeah. Okay, I got fugazis. And I'm like, I know the fugazis because I lived in Queens, and out there they made a lot of that stuff in Jamaica, whatever, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And he started laughing. But he was like, but they don't got that stuff here. And I said, but you know what you need to do? Get to a pop-up where those trendy little hipsters gotta have this and this and the little pouch and the thing. And tell you what, every woman was walking up and look how much. And this guy, his Spanish was good enough to get across the dialect that's here, you know. And he was like, I'm like, how many did you sell? He's like, it's a little bit harder here, but it's like they all want to chimp me down, you know, because they know it's fake.
But that's what they do. I mean, that's what everybody's trying to do. I mean, it's a give and take type thing, you know. It's the you know, we the buyer want to feel as though we're, you know, getting a deal, and you know, let's face it, the truth is you know, the guy selling, he knows where he wants to be, and he wants to give you a deal, but not as good a deal as you want, right? I mean, that's right. That's ultimately what it is.
And you don't enjoy that kind of thing. I've talked to people. I'm like, how's your communication skills? Do you like to put yourself out there? You know, I'm not a great. And somebody the other day, I can't remember who it was. They were like, I'm just not good at negotiating, and I love the integrity that they admitted to that.
Right.
And I thought, how the fuck you do good at business then? Because you gotta bullshit your way half the time. And you know what it is? It was so right now, before I came on, there was seven, maybe 8 that I only know about lives on Instagram that were just strictly t-shirt auctions. Tonight I didn't see any that were hitting a K, but in the past I've seen them sell for a K. Now this depends on the guy's following, how good he is. You know, if he's the big fish, so to speak, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of these little fish running around, and they're going hundreds of dollars for shirts. And it's just great to see them push and shove and doing these little things going on. So it's like, where are your negotiation skills? So last night before I went to bed, and this has been a long week, I'm watching, I'm like, oh God, I was at an auction last night with Louie, my co-host, and we were 5 hours. One of our people in there, she sold 3 vintage. Oh yeah, you got to grin and bear it. 3 vintage children's size t-shirts. Last night went for about a little over $225, I think. Rewatch it. I was like, it didn't surprise me, but I got excited because that was like that was the piranha food. It was like, you know, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about, because you got the market You know, you got some kind of market, whether it's an auction market or it's that. And I've always associated auctions and flea markets because I've seen them mix the two. You know, there's just so much to it, you guys. And I know you get it. I know I'm preaching, you know, to the choir, and this is not your first rodeo, but like there is a chemistry about a flea market or pop-up, if you want to call it. Because I had a reseller attack me this weekend at the pop-up, and he went after all my vintage stuff. But he paid up, and he was a good guy. Like he didn't try to lowball me too much, you know? So I was like, so I just went like this. Hey, because I'm directly, you're a reseller, aren't you? And he goes, you know, yeah, you know, trying to play the whole, don't bullshit a bullshitter. Because he's like, yeah, I collect. And then, you know, I'll sell to make my collection. I'm like, fuck you. You know, so we all do that. It's like, no. But he got all the good stuff that I knew. I'm like, that right there, probably should have listed and made another $30 on eBay. But I don't have time. I want fast return on my investment. I want to like get that stuff. I don't want overhead and move it fast, you know. It's all about the fast pace. If you can make your $20 into 60 that weekend, move on, you know, and double it, triple it.
Yeah.
We lost that quarter.
Yeah, we lost Mike, but he'll be back. I mean, there's definitely something unique about the flea market, and it's a lot of things. And as you were saying, you know, the big part about the whole negotiation thing that some people, you know, they're afraid of the whole negotiation. I think what ends up happening,
just say they're not good. Some are not good people. You know, they're just not good at it. Like, you want $5? They either walk away here. You know,
sometimes people are even afraid to hear no. You know what I mean? It's like I don't mind. It's like, no, all right. There's plenty of vendors in here, especially as you were saying that sometimes you come across people at the flea market that are kind of selling the same products. Essentially, we're not talking about these one-off items and these hard to find, the ones that have these big margins, you know. But a lot of the things, you know, some vendors, you know, you'll see a lot of vendors selling the same thing. Sometimes they're even getting of the same supplier. But I'll tell you something that I did notice over the weekend as I was going in there. A lot of the prices, at least here in my area, a lot of the prices for these things, and we're not talking about, you know, these one-off items, you know, a lot of the prices, they're pretty much very close to what retail is.
It's almost consistent, right? Like, but maybe by $1 off, you know.
Right. And it looks
sometimes it's up $1.
Right. One up, down. You know, it depends, but all of them that are selling the same product, it's like they have a meeting in the morning, and it's like, all right, today this is going to be our product, right? So this is when the negotiating comes in. You know what I mean? You got to be able to pick and choose which one you want to negotiate. It's like, do you really want to sell that? Would you give me this amount for if I get 2 or 3 of them? You know what I mean? So this is what I want to do. You know,
that's a good point, because like when you go on eBay, I always have this thing where I preached is, don't be the low baller that low balls and scrutinizes the market where, you know, because when you do your comps, you could be the jackass that, like, when everything was going $32 on average, you know, granted there'd be like a $30 once in a while, but like you're the screwball that went down and sold it for $18. Then everybody's gonna want it for $18. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, they have to have a meeting of the minds, if lack of a better example. Like you said, everybody's gonna like they had a meeting. Because if they're not on the same page, then hence the word market is going to what? Fluctuate.
Yeah, it's like they're reflecting the manufacturer's suggested retail price, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's
that happens.
Market MSRP.
Yeah, I mean that's going to happen, and you'll know that. I mean, when you see, like I was talking about, you know, you'll get some people, you know, you have a lot of the vendors that are selling the, you know, and that's the new stuff, right? The people that are selling the new stuff, they all try and stay within that exact same price, you know, and maybe, you know, hey, you know, I can charge a little different because I may have, you know, a different color than you have, so I'll charge a little more, you know, because I have a unique color.
So those are the buyer, those are the sellers, which we are. We're all sellers, but it's funny, we may be the guys that are sellers going to the flea market to go hunt. So we're buying from other buyers, right? That to me was always like the philosophical thing. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm trying to source this stuff so I can go flip it and maybe have my secret market, whether it's a pop-up, you know, and like try to sell some fake Gucci's that I picked up, like I got them on a deal because the guy gave me 20 of them for, you know, this margin down or something. Right. And I'm going to sell at some like shishi brewery. We're hoping everybody's drunk. Gotta have those, you know.
Exactly.
And you sell 2 of them and they paid for the whole deal. Right. You know, you're hoping. but it's always that kind of like that hustle bustle, you know. That's what we do. Part of that hunt is also the hunt to kind of go, yeah, I can do better than you.
Yeah.
There's a little.
It's where we're going to buy off a second market to go sell in a third market. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're
very
getting
much
from
so.
the second hand in order for us to sell, as you were saying, the pop-ups or wherever it is that we're going to sell it, right? So that's another thing that's we could say is definitely unique about sourcing at the
Yes.
market.
Have you ever seen somebody at a flea market buy something and then at the same time they go around and they flip it back and while they're at the flea market?
Yeah,
And then they make.
I know a couple YouTubers that have gone ahead and done that. All right.
Tell me, what was the example?
Mike, Storage Auction Pirate, he'll go around while he's set up. He'll go around. He's like, let me see what I can find. He finds somebody
you know what?
some gold and sells it to another person.
But goes back to what I was saying, Oscar. It goes back to not only did you know, it's a fish stealing the fish from another fish because he's hungry, but he ends up like selling it to the other. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's like I was saying, how quick can you not sit on it? I want to, by the time I'm ready to go buy it, I already want to be in the car going on the way to sell it. The other day, I just bought something on eBay, and then I had this little private circle of one of the guys that I mentored about T-shirts and vintage and stuff. But he's good. Like he had me thinking he was a high schooler, and I'm like, nah, I don't know. But he's like, teach me everything you know. I'm like, come on. I'm like, I'm a small fish, you know. And I told him, I said, I don't know everything, but the one thing you got to need to know is you got to keep learning. There's always something new to learn because there's going to be a guy that while you think you're fucking hustling him, he's hustling you. And he got your shirt and he flipped it and he sold it to your buddy because you thought you were going to get it, you know, that kind of thing. And all the time I'm watching these Instagrams, they're buying it. And I saw the same shirt go in rotation and it goes over to Oscar and it goes back to Mike and Mike. I'm like, no, I already sold it to Oscar. I know how much I paid for it. Screw you. And it's so funny because like they're feeding off the same, aquarium.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. So the flea market can do that. That's what when you were logging off for a little bit, you got kicked off there, Mike. We were talking about at the flea market. Have we ever seen, you know, another potential reseller buy something and hustle it back within the same system, you know, which is the flea market?
Yeah, I mean, it's a it's a unique place because you can, like you're saying, you can go and you can shop it, and then you can sell it, the same thing and everything. I mean, it is a unique place. Like, you don't see that, you don't see, Mary and Bob have a garage sale on this side of the street. And they don't walk over to Sue and Pete's garage sale and buy something for $1 and then walk across the street and put it on their table. I mean, you typically don't see that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but what I'm saying is in the flea market, you're right, that does happen a little bit more.
Let me give you a weird example. So I don't want to say names, and I'm not going to say who because I don't want to rat them out. But it's like there was a situation where we were talking stories. I'm like, where did you get my dad was at a flea market too, and I said, yeah, and then we're talking about God, and he's like, Louie, I understand, I know, because I grew up going to flea markets. And I was like, well, what do you do when you got to go to the bathroom and you're the only guy there? Do you trust everybody and walk off? And like I said, they're going to loot you or what? Not to be distrustful, but he's like, no. He's like, my dad used to go get one of those milk jugs and he'd walk over to the car like he's getting something out of his car. He's like, go watch the front. And he's standing there like he was getting tools or something, and he's doing his thing. But, and as he was saying that, he said, but the guy next to him was only that guy. And that guy would say, hey, I got to go. I'll be right back. And this is like out, like, and as he would walk away, he would watch, doing his business. He'd do his business was first, and then he'd look over to his neighbor, and he'd see guys, picking up a tool. They slowly try to walk off, and he's like, hey, put it back. They're like, oh, this isn't for, and he's like, yeah, how much? He's like, $10. Boom. Okay. And the guy would come back after he goes and takes a piss. This is his neighbor. That's a reseller at the flea market. He's like, how much were you selling these for? He's like, oh, $5. And he reaches in he gives him the $5, walks back. He got $5 in his pocket, So it's like, there is this negotiation thing that you learn being in a flea market. I was brought up next to a flea market. I will say it was probably one of the best business experiences, better than going to get a master's degree, in business. I'm telling you, there's life survival skills you can learn there. I almost got killed by some wacko, pedophiles growing up that, hey, come here, get in my van. I'm like, fuck you, running away, go get the cops, and they come back, and like, that guy's trying to, but I'm talking about, you got to be street smart. That's really what I'm talking about. When I say street smart, you better know your business, and you better know who you're dealing with, because
you're right. Yeah, I mean, you're right, because when you're in that environment and stuff like that, it is a different type of selling environment than you're used to and stuff. I mean, and it's like, I mean, as someone who's going to go there to source, to try and find stuff, I mean, hey, it's like you said, the truth of the matter is it's a yard sale, it's a garage sale, it's the same type of thing. It's just you may go to a giant one where there's 30 or 40, 50 tables, something. When you're a seller there and you get your table and stuff, I mean, it's what you're there to do is to make money. You want to, and you got to give, you have to give deals to get people to keep coming back and stop at your table, right? Because what you want is you want that person who sees you to go, ooh, you know what? I don't remember that guy's name, but when I was there 2 weeks ago, he worked with me on this. Let me see what he has. He may not want to buy anything from you this time, but he comes to your table, and he can then all of a sudden go, you know what? I really don't need this, but you know what? Louie is a good guy. Hey, what do you want for this? Boop, boop, I'll give that. Okay, hey, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
And you do $5, and it's like, to me, $5 is a good deal. The guy's like, that maybe that guy only wanted $3, but I know I'm going to go ahead, even though he's being nice to give me I'm still going to pay him up $1, big deal, whatever,
right.
$2. And that guy's going to be the guy that comes back. Now, hear me out. I've had this happen. It wasn't at this flea market, but I've been to flea market, not just even flea markets. This is just about doing business in general. When you come back to the guy that could be your guy, you treat him good, he's going to remember you, and he's going to go, look what I found. So let me give you an example. So there was a guy I was at this last one where I told you I found those cool shirts. And by the way, the flea market that I went to, thank God it was a place that I know where half these ladies come from. I seen them where they get their stuff because I get it from the same place. But it's funny, they just throw that crap, and this particular flea market provides the tables, and they're just piles and piles of stuff. Kids' clothes, skip it, goodbye. Pants, I don't really care about too much. Boom, good bomber jackets, sports jackets, jerseys. The stuff that I'm looking for that maybe it's because we're guys and we're more familiar with it and stuff. But I also know my market, so my niche is, boom. I go in there and I'm dig. I have no problem digging in dirt and dust. I can go and I'm done. Boom, next, zoom. On the hot sun, this and that. And I'm looking at this one guy and he's got fucking everything mixed up. And I was like, you got a partner here? He's like, no, just me. How much you want for this? And like, really good deal. It was like a leather jacket. And it was like, where did this come from? He's like, El Paso. So, I'm doing the talk to kind of make this small talk. And he's like getting a little more comfortable with me. And all of a sudden, he's like, his prices are getting juicier and better. But he didn't have anything I wanted, and I wasn't going to sit on for 7-8 months. A jacket in Texas is not good until next January, February, till we're ready to freeze our butt off. So I'm just like, do me a favor. You got an empty box there? Go put all your Levi's in there. Because he's like, nobody's stopping. And I'm like, let me help you. And I'm like, I'm a sucker for being a nice guy. So I'm like, put all your jeans in there. Da-da-da-da-da. Try to separate some of the women's clothes and the T-shirts. You got these empty totes. I see you have them. That's where you brought them in. If you don't put them up at the front, people are not going to look.
Right.
And that was all I said. I walked away. Come back, and I forgot I did my rounds. I was like, I didn't even know I passed him. And I went, oh, he listened. And when he did, I saw more people stop at his table. Yeah. He remembered me, and like, it's like, hey, it's working, I'm like, good. So, but, it's like, how are they displaying things? How are you doing things? It's going to make it easier for me next time I come see him, but he may remember me and he may give me a better deal. He may be the guy that continues to give me those good deals because he has what I want. Right. So that day it wasn't so much of what I wanted. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we got to be selfish on some levels. Like, who's going to be where I'm going to get the stuff from? So to answer your question, where am I going to get the sourcing? There's a little dirty trick we do in the t-shirt world, and I never did it until 2 weeks ago. I was like, these little fuckers, excuse my language. I know I probably shouldn't be cussed. Is it okay to cuss a little bit? Just a little.
They ain't gonna stop that. They ain't gonna flip my channel.
Everybody's gonna go, God, Louie's got a potty mouth. And I let me put it back on. So long story short, I'm out and I'm walking around and I go, whoosh, and I got a whiplash. And I was like, this guy's got on a sick shirt. It's got the fade. So we're talking about, like, you want to know what vintage shirts, but we've seen some good fake vintage shirts that are too, the fake, I call them repops, reproduction pop shirts, fake, whatever, AC/DC or Johnny Cash. Come on, please, that stuff. The original ones are gone. So this guy has this faded shirt on, and I went, that's a nice shirt. And I just bought like 2 or 3 little trinkets. It was like a coin that says chicken ranch, good for 1 turn. And it was on a brass coin, but he sold me that and a Hot Wheel and some other little plastic toy for $1. So I'm like, this guy is just, he's from the mud. He's just selling his crap. He just selling stuff. And I didn't see anything particular I wanted. And the poor guy didn't have much. And I went, I want to help this guy. But at the same time, I want the shirt off his back. These t-shirt rats. We have this thing, they go, hashtag shirt off the back. And I was like, and then I didn't even ask nobody. I was too embarrassed to ask because I'm like, I'm going to be the old guy asking these young punks, what does this mean? And then the other day, I'm like listening at the bins, and these guys are like digging. And like, look what I found. This is like $300. I'm like, whatever. He's like, oh, screw that. I got the same one. I off the back. And I was like, okay, let me figure this out. Come to find out, if they see a shirt that they like and they know they can get a good return on their investment, they will literally go up, whether it's at Walmart or anywhere. They'll talk to the guy, or if the guy comes up to them, they'll figure out like what is association. Like the guy's, God, I love your Raiders shirt. I got some from the 80s. Oh, you do? Here's my card. Can I come over to your house a little later? And they buy it off of them. But the off the back thing is where you literally go and you go up and cost the guy, hey, Michael, how much for that shirt? Like, I love that shirt. No, it's not for sale. I got $100 here. You're taking your shirt off. All of a sudden, you see naked Mike and his boobies hanging out. This guy at the flea market goes, it's not for sale. And he just yelled at me. And I said, I love Batman. I collect Batman. He wasn't rude. He just said, it's not for sale. Forget it. And I was like, how much would be your top dollar if I were to buy that shirt? I know you don't want to sell it, but I love Batman. And it was a Batman shirt. And it had this sick fade on it. And I was like, I think that might be vintage. And it was very good look. It was just like, and he goes, not for sale. I said, but what was your top dollar? I mean, like, what would be your top dollar? Like, what's your big top dollar price? $13. I looked at a 20 and I went like this. Here, I'll be right back. Hold that 20. Take that shirt off. I'm going to go get you a shirt out of my car. And I brought him back some, newer shirt, said Kentucky on it or something. He gave me that shirt. Looked right off his back. Now, I lost on the game on that. It was he washed it so good. It had the perfect little pinholes and stuff. And the kids love that stuff. But I think I can actually flip that for quadruple. Then I think I could sell for anywhere from $40 to $60. But it was a repop. And it had not the, the tags have the tags in the back. So this is like right there. This is actually from like the late 80s, early 90s. This is early 90s. And that one, I couldn't look. The only reason I was able to see was the sun was full out that day, and it was just coming off a little bit. It was right on the neck. It was like one of those repops you might get at Walmart or something.
Prints it on the shirt.
And you could barely see it. And those things are hard to get off unless you have a grinder, a sandpaper or something. So this guy must have wore the hell out of it. I don't know. But it was so good. I was like, this was a good experience. I was glad I did it. It gave me confidence. And it was a new way to source. If I see you, Oscar, and you're wearing the old Miami's, the starter jacket, I'll be like, $500. You're gonna go here, take it. We're gonna sweat in this jacket anyway in Miami. We don't need no jackets. But it was it's interesting. So sourcing is such a different game today. Like you really either got to go in like a shark, And I was like, I'll be honest, it was kind of like an adrenaline rush. I'm like, oh fuck, it's gonna go down. And he's like $13. I had like $20. Boom. And he was like, he just gave me this look. He's like, you're gonna give me 20? I'm like, keep it. Boom. You know, I was like, whatever, you know.
No, it's great. You know, it's funny you talk about the stories and everything. So, and
I kind of want to do it now.
Yeah. You know,
but make sure it's something you want and you know it's worth it. So the thing is that with the t-shirt rats, they know I'll be honest, they're younger kids. Those kids, I don't know where they get their experience, but they're hungry. They go to the sold comps on eBay and then they figure this stuff out. They're learning and they're about this. The technology is different because we back in the day, we didn't have the sold comps and this and that. We had to figure it out for ourselves. And then you have to I remember last week that sold for 10,000. That's because you remembered you were watching it. Now they got all the records for 3 months. I'm sorry, Mike, you were going to say.
Yeah, you were talking about stories and everything. So back in 2001, it was October of 2001. So it was a month right after, the 9/11 stuff.
Oh yeah.
My wife and I went out to California, and we started in San Francisco, drove our way down. We got down to San Diego. We went to Tijuana and everything, So we went. You drive down, and rather than driving down across ourselves, we went to one of the bus stops, and the bus takes you, and it takes you through.
Oh yeah.
And they pull you in, and they're like, "Oh, this is the safe place to be," and everything. And when you get out, it's like a New York, flea market and everything like that. I mean, neon lights flashing and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, holy cow. And my wife saw a pocketbook that she liked. And she said, how much? And the guy told her, like $40. She's like, $40? She's like, nah, it's too much and everything. So she just, turns around and walks away. Hold on. For you, $35. She's like, no, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to go look. I see some. And she said, I see some other pocketbooks. I'll look over there and maybe I'll come back and everything. And he goes, look. I want to make a friend today. $20 for you.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden it's half price.
So I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, but they, like you're saying though, it's like somebody's like, I really want to make a friend. Oh, amiga, I want to make a friend with you, please. That guy.
You only be my friend if you buy it from me.
Right, but it's like, but it was funny to watch him start off at 40 and within, 2 minutes, he's down at 20.
It's crazy, isn't it? I'll be honest. I'm that guy like at a pop-up, but the thing I don't like about the pop-ups is I get these mixed things. If I go to the right pop-up, there's these kids with and everything there's no cash. It's all Venmo. So I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And I'll tell you what, if you don't pay attention, I made a big rookie mistake. My first deal on Saturday, it was the first time I did a pop-up in a long time. I'm going to be honest. So the thing about being a reseller, I think, is we don't talk about our screw-ups. So I'm going to be honest. I did a big rookie mistake. Big. And that was
rookie on Venmo.
Yeah. So it does happen to be in Venmo, but it was a reseller rookie mistake that we should never do. And that is count your money, check your money, make sure the sales went through, you know what I mean? And I got into it and I was still in setup mode. And this guy was looking at this and and I'm the guy that you can't walk away unless you're going to buy something, He was like, come on, be my friend, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like 35? All right. You know what? If you buy something else, I'll make that 20, but I got to make a deal, and I'm like, I always do the package deal. And then long story short, the guy had his Venmo and this and that. And we were just, and luckily my return on investment and everything was or I should say my cost of goods. Let's put it that way. My cost of goods, I think I calculated was no more than $5 or $7 for everything, but it was a $50 or $55 transaction. And I didn't check the Venmo right. I thought I did, and I didn't, and it didn't go through. And that would have paid my booth fee that day. So I was like, but you know what? I didn't really get pissed about it. I've heard other guys bitching about, it's like you either got to really be mindful and paying attention every second, which means you got to be centered. You got to be on top of your game. You got to be like, and it was a rookie mistake where this is not just a lesson learned. It was like there was nobody around. There may have been one lady looking at some shirts and it's no, thank you. Boom. It was starting at the day. So it's like, where is your potential for, making these like moves in a way that you can like really elevate? It's like this could have been $1,000 deal, and I could have fucked up big time.
Yeah, I mean,
luckily, your cost of goods was $7 and not $1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but that wasn't the point. Like the point for me that really hurt me, that made me butt hurt, Oscar, was that was my booth fee.
yeah, no, I get it.
I already paid the $50. I wanted my money there. It's like I wanted it right here.
It sucks. It doesn't matter if it's $10, $15, $20. That's money that didn't end up going into your pocket. Yeah, no, I get it. It sucks.
It's a psychological, like, it's
it
a thing.
Probably won't happen to you again.
It didn't happen for the rest of the weekend. I'll tell you what. Oh, hold on. This is my daughter, and this has been a long day. My daughter moved out, and I had to help her move. This has been like nonstop since last Wednesday. I found out I got into 2 pop-ups. Took me Friday, Saturday because I wasn't prepared. Meaning my inventory was like all over the place. It was in the carport. It was in my back room, and then I was like, where did this stuff come from? And then I had stuff hanging in the closet. So it's a lot of prep time to get to that stage. So when you are at the stage, that was when I went, be easy on yourself. You better swallow this horse pill. This was a big mistake. You made a mistake because not so much you weren't prepared, but you were in the zoom thing. So when you're going in for a business transaction, I don't care what it is. If it's a flea market or you're sitting down at the table doing something where you're signing a contract, just take a moment, take a deep breath. You got to be really centered. You got to it's all about, where are you up here so you can maintain your focus. You never,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, the mindset, something that we've touched on a lot.
Imperative.
Yeah.
So the same mindset goes with sourcing.
Easy.
What's that?
It makes you or breaks you easy. If it could cost you, and like you said, there are, what if the guy would have had, a few $100 worth of stuff, right? You're right from that standpoint and everything. And I think, it's like when you're the buyer, it's the thrill of the hunt. And when you finally see something and you overlook something because you're like, oh my gosh, I've only seen one of these ever, sold before and everything. And I see it and you just grab it and you buy it. And then you get home and you don't realize, oh, son of a bitch, there's a crack in it. Now it's worth, $1.380, right? Rather than, the $145 and everything. So it's crap. And it's the same way, on the other side, like you're saying, when you're a seller, it's taking your time to make sure that everything is done before you close the deal is finally closed, right?
I'm glad you said that because the part of that art of negotiation, which is what we do as resellers, is that we're buying from another buyer when we're buying something to source. We say we're sourcing it because we're going to do what? We're going to flip it.
Yeah.
Hopefully for potential investment or whatever. It's like you're investing in, whether it's just a quick flip and you're hoping to, not sit on it for long because you want to move that product and make the money, whether you're buying in bulk or just like you said, one-off. And, the other day I went to an estate sale, bought this thing because of my art history background. This was a pre-Columbian, which means like Native American art. It was a pre-Columbian sculpture made out of glass. And I flipped it and I went, that's an Olmec head. Which is a certain tribe that are not Aztecs, but they're like Olmecs were like up in the mountains. And they had made these giant sculptures that were like 10 to 12 feet tall. They were heads. But this was like a little one. And it was like, why is this glass? And this is it. And I look at the bottom, it's like inscribed. And I went, how much for this? And she's like, I don't remember if it was $1 or $5, but even $5 was still. And I went, let me roll the dice on this because this was really refined. I remember I brought it to a couple flea markets and I went, don't sell it. You're gonna, so, no, I was like, why did I even bring it? Because like nobody's gonna give me more than $20 or $50 for it. Maybe if I tell them a story and I'm good at that. I put it on eBay for $375 or something like that. It was like maybe it was 325. I don't remember. But it sat for a little while, for about maybe 5 months, and I looked it up. It was an architect from Mexico City. He was internationally well known, and he had passed away. And I went, holy crap! And I saw his other work, but none of them were like this. They weren't. He had other like images on glass, but he would do these to raise money so he can do his other projects. So he was an artist, but he was an architect. And later on, somebody like hit me up and said, "Can you go like $200?" And I'm like, yeah, whatever, sure, boom, $1, $200,
Yeah.
But it's like, that was, to me, was like I could have easily found that underneath some clothes at a flea market, but I found it at a stage, so it doesn't matter. It's it's like that mindset, like you said, you got to get into where's the potential of like, okay, now here's the structure. I am buying this. I want to do this, and this is how I got to get. There's so much more to that art of negotiation, and sometimes it's just as simple. That lady that I bought it from, she saw me there early, and we already made deals, and it was like, boom. It was just like, how much you wanted? Just take it for that price. I'm like, because I was nice to her. You guys had your coffee this morning? That's good. Hey, oh, this is your mom and dad? Why do they have this, pre-Columbian art sculpt? This is beautiful. My mom and dad were our historians, they're professors. I'm like, that's when I went, light bulb, this thing has potential,
Right.
So like that was the reseller, not the art historian going, this is obviously looks like a legit piece of art, but it's got value,
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta invest your mental status with how you're investing it, how you're negotiating, how you're communicating, how you're coming across. Hi, how you doing? Give him that smile, because that fucking guy sitting at the flea market's been there all day, smoking his cigarettes, had out of cough, and he's fucking pissed. How much I was watching, like, I don't want to
make his booth money.
That's it. That's where I would play role reversal. This guy's the buyer that I am. We're mirroring each other. We're doing the same thing. So if you can't come off and have like this kind of compassionate, like, hey guy, bet you wish you had your feet rubbed right now by her over there, that girl with and it's like, what? It's like, you make the guy laugh. All of a sudden he's not sourpuss anymore or something. He's like, because you get in the mind of where they are at. Where are they? They're at a flea market. So he's not happy. I'm ready to go home. I'm tired. It's 90 to 90 something degrees outside. I haven't eaten. I've been here since 6 this morning. You better be nice to that guy, So, and same guy that took his shirt off, he goes, oh, I'm going to bring some shirts next week. Unfortunately, I was at a pop-up, What was that, Mike?
Fucking hotel internet.
So someone needs to get a hotspot.
I don't know. It's like, he's like, I got to look after my investments. 20-month time. It's funny.
Yeah, no, hey, so hey, we've been going for an hour now. Don't Louie, I know you're busy on stuff. I don't want to keep it any longer. I'm
a chattermouth. Sorry, guys.
No, I mean, it's great when it's funny. This is probably Oscar when you think about it. It's the first show we've had in a long time where we stayed on topic the whole show.
Yeah,
I'll give you guys a chance to talk.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've definitely stuck to the whole flea market and touched on all the different dynamics and everything what the flea market experience and the flea market hunt and the negotiation and the different personalities that you come across in the flea market. It was very interesting. I definitely enjoyed it.
Well, I think the big thing is it's knowing that there's no taboo about it anymore. There should not be a taboo about it anymore. I mean, are you going to have that guy or that table of the one guy who looks like he just drove around the neighborhood and picked up all the stuff out of the trash or, laying by the side of the curb and figured, let me bring it to the flea market, see if somebody will buy it, right? I mean, you're probably going to have that from time to time, but you are going to have the people who, who have sourced their product their way and bring it there, and you're gonna find quality stuff. It's not like it's not just a bunch of junk. And I think
let me ask you this: we're talking about quality junk. What's the difference between the rich guy, the rich person that goes and buys at a boutique a 1970s rock and roll shirt that's like paper thin, it's got holes in it, and it's just like, and it's like boom, and they pay like $500 for that shirt, as opposed to the guy that went to the thrift store and found that shirt hiding in the back of the racks and bought it and is trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like that person calls it fashion. They get to say it's all good and clean. If you go buy it, you're a dirty, rotten scoundrel reseller. Like, oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. It's the perception piece. But at the end of the day, it does. At the end of the day, it should not matter. I mean, you look at something. If you're like you said, like we said in the beginning, the flea market is no different than if you were to go to a garage sale, and you should look at stuff the same way as a garage sale, as you do a flea market, as you do a yard sale, as you do, truthfully, even in the thrift store. You should look at it as, okay, hey, if from a reselling perspective, you look at it, is it real? You shouldn't do anything different at a flea market than you would any place else if you're trying to buy something. You shouldn't just go to the flea market and go, well, I'm just going to buy it anyway. We've all
it shouldn't be even at a flea market. It should be anywhere. But like flea markets, like you said, they have that misconception based on experiences. And I get it. Some flea markets are not for some people. They don't want to go buy their fresh produce and corn and stuff, which you can get some really good deals and fresher product at a flea market. And then, it's like a farmer's market. It's just, except you got everything in there. You got everything. Yeah, and if it's a cultural bias and difference, and then those people are, racist bigots, and they don't need to be shopping there anyway. So It's like, because your market strategy and your market mentality comes from, where do you feel comfortable going to buy this? Like, I want to go to Hollywood and buy the same freaking shirt you are that I can go pick up at a steal on a hanger at a flea market. But you know what? It turns out you're going to pay $500, but I'm going to pay. Guess what? I paid 50 cents for it, and then I'm going to go back and sell it to you for $500.
But you know what? I think I feel probably a little bit more intimidated going to Hollywood inside one of these fashion boutiques to buy a shirt than I would be going to a flea market to look for that same exact shirt for half the price.
So in saying that, and the reason I did this is kind of a trick thing, because the whole perception of flea markets is now being manipulated. And let me tell you something, it's being transformed. It's now called pop-ups, or it's called market days, or whatever. People don't want to go to a vintage antique store because it's got grandma stuff in it. I'm like, that's so rude. No, but you know what? The same home designers and this and that, they'll go in there and look for that. That's exactly what I needed. That right there. Mm-hmm. That chandelier made out of deer horns or whatever, because it's going to fit in that log cabin that somebody spent, $2.7 million. And guess what they're going to pay for that deer chandelier that they only pay $500 for? They're going to sell it back to you for $5,000 because it fits in this place and it looks so good and chic. Don't underestimate your market and a market, because you got to analyze it. You got to be a thick-skulled, reseller that's a little bit more open-minded, because, otherwise you start closing your heart off to this concept of like, I don't want to go there because it makes me feel uncomfortable. So what? Then guess what? You're not making a good deal. You're not going to go to Tijuana. You're not going to go and get that beautiful wallet for $20 because you're smart enough. I'm going to walk off,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't need it because there's like 20 other vendors over here, but I'm your friend,
Yeah. but the funny thing is it's the same type of thing of people shopping off the clearance rack, let's say, and so on and so forth. And my kids always made fun of me because,
Mm-hmm.
even if we go to the outlet, we go everything, I go right over, to the clearance rack and so on and so forth and everything, and my kids would be like, ew, you got that where? Oh, you got that where? And everything. And then all of a sudden they would go in themselves and they would go over and they go, we go over to the clearance rack and they look at all the.
That's when you give them that lesson. Here's $20. Buy as many clothes as you want for $20. You want to spend that on, one pair of socks? Go ahead. You want to use this 20 and go to that clearance. But Dad, I didn't know I can get this and this and this and because it's always about where my daughter now, she used to be so picky and this and that, and now she's like, whatever, I'll buy Walmart clothes,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Oh, you're right.
who my biggest, at just an example of this weekend, who my biggest clients were? Probably about 1/3, maybe a little more.
Teenagers?
We're all other vendors.
Oh, wow.
I thought that's peculiar. Some of it seemed supportive. Some of it just seemed that it was part of the communication. Some of it, they saw something they wanted, and I went, I'll make you a deal. Really? Yeah. In my head, I'm like, already got that figure in my head. It's like, I got to have this. And I already saw the market was part of the expression, there were tightwads at this particular. You would think at a brewery when everybody lightened up a little bit and had a few beers, and these are like posh people, like all dressed up, and they're spending, $40 on a homemade pizza, and they had their, $20 pitcher of beer, it's the microbrewery beer. That's why they won't spend at a pop-up. So I'm like, never coming back to this brewery again. But I went to the coffee shop where these intellectual artist type thinkers and people randomly stopping in there made twice as much. So I'm like, where is your market? Is it the common man? Is it the, I'm telling you, there's so many different angles you got to look at it.
Your target market audience. Yeah.
And it's hard too, because you don't know who's going to come to your tent. They call it a pop-up because you got a tent, this and that. And it's gotten so technical,
You gave a perfect example of one of the reasons, and this is what came to my head as you were saying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why Lamborghini doesn't have commercials on TV. The reason they don't have commercials on TV is because their target market audience doesn't watch TV.
Right.
So smart. But you'll see
You're
once
right.
in a while.
They understand their market. They know their market. They've done enough, market research in order for them to see what's gonna speak to their particular market.
I'll tell you, do you know how they brand? I mean, meaning when I say brand, that's a potential for how they show their image in terms of marketing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not commercialization. You're right. The only time you see a Lamborghini is like if it's whatever, Beverly Hills
On
movie
TikTok.
Yeah, or another potential reseller. Hey, look at me. You can make this much on Amazon. And it's like, come on, meet me at the bottom of the sea.
You can make this much on Amazon. Just buy my program and you'll learn how to do it.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
This is how I got my Lamborghini. No, you got your Lamborghini by selling courses.
Speaking of t-shirts, you know what? One of the biggest t-shirts I do find that happens to be was Lamborghini, but of course it's the city here. It's funny, and I get it because I'm local, so it said Lamborghini, a beautiful little little icon in yellow. It's always on a black shirt. It's yellow, gold, kind of like gold. It's like Austin, Texas, because we have our own little that. And I'm sure if I go over where you live, Michael, or you, Oscar, and I go in your city, and I'm sure I'm going to find one if I dig hard enough. It's like, but you're right. But why is it on a T-shirt, not on the commercials? That's a walking advertisement that's going to, and it goes to where is your level? Like people, fashion is so discriminating, but it's also a discourse of communication. It really is.
Let me tell you something. And now that you say that about the T-shirt, at least down here in Miami, every time that Mercedes-Benz sells a car, they give the owner of a new car a dry-fitted Golf Polo with the Mercedes emblem on it. So they're speaking to which audience? They're speaking to those that play golf in the middle of the day with a bunch of their business friends. You know what I mean? And they're going to golf with that Mercedes emblem.
And attire, it doesn't cost a lot to make a product. Even us as resellers, once we get up there as a content creator, we're going to do what? Hey, buy my T-shirts down here. It's always a T-shirt or a hat. But it's about fashion, and fashion speaks to so many people on so many demographics of levels. And I'm talking about economic, whether you're middle class, lower class, whatever you want to, you know what I mean? I had one girl that had the best taste, and she didn't have any money. She went in there, picked all my things out, and I'm like, listen, I don't mean to be rude. I said, I'm not, this is not an age thing, but you're like my daughter, but I'd love for you to have all these. What is your budget? I broke it down to her. She was like, oh God, he's direct, But I told her, I said, listen, these single stitch, Warner Brothers, 1992. If I were to put this on eBay right now, these go for 45 to 50 bucks. I don't know what made me want to be so, direct her. I didn't mean to come off as rude. She got it. She went, I'm like, but I'll give you that one, and I'll go down to 20, 25. But if you buy more than one, I'll go down. And Dad, I need the money. She went right to, and it's like back to that whole thing. It's just so interesting because not that I needed to tell you.
How does she not have Venmo?
I think she was probably like 16, 18 because she had asked Dad's permission anyway, or that, But this kid had savvy, sharp, like she knew what was trendy. When I say trendy, I've been following a lot of the shirt rats. I know about 12 categories that are hot right now. Anything that, and it's always about branding. So back to what you were saying, Oscar, like, whether it's BMW or whatever, NASCAR, get those vintage ones fast as you can. Walt Disney, Warner Brothers right now, hot off the topic. Whether you sell it on a platform or whatnot, unless you're able to move it in certain circles. And like I said, then it'll go to you and it's going to go to him. And it's it's funny because I've seen one shirt and it turns out it was the same shirt because there was only like a few of them made. So I was like, I heard these guys talk, that thing went to California, made it back down to Oklahoma, and it's back here in New York again. And I'm like, the same freaking shirt, and it was crazy. It's like, this is just, it's a whole different world, and so I know we're talking about two different things, the markets, but like one of the biggest trends right now, I don't know what it is about shirts. It finally made it back in a hard discourse, but there's a matrix of stuff going on. I can't, that's another show. We won't even talk about it, but it's like, I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm getting these notifications. I'm like, what the heck is, I go to the bathroom. I'm like, what? And I turn it on. There's this live at 3 a.m. And I'm like, how the hell can you ask for $1,800 for this shirt? And I've seen them go higher, but I'm like,
3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock, and get this, they're all stoned. They're all flexing, what I call peacocking, back in the day. You got your pimp feather hat. Oh yeah, you're gonna outbid me? Fuck you. Boom, boom, boom. So the psychology behind that is like a flea market. Like you get a couple guys, hey, if he doesn't buy it, I'm gonna buy it. No, you're not, and then the price is and the guy is, it's just all that communication that's going on. But if you get a certain demographic, and I'm not picking on a certain lower, younger age, but it's very interesting. There's a market there, and who has that money? They're willing to spend, and they will on video games, this and that, and they got to impress the girls. You got to have that all over print, and it's got to have a back hit, and it's got to look good. Oh, it's from the 90s. Yeah, I paid out for this, and the girl's going to be like, I know what you're wearing, and that night they're going to go home and get laid.
Yeah, well, it's funny like you talk about like 2 weeks ago. We had on Pittsburgh, Anthony, and we were talking about the whole sports cards thing, right? And that's the same way, man. The same thing of saying, oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, you have a LeBron James rookie? Oh, no. I have a Kobe Bryant rookie. Oh, no. I have Magic Johnson. Oh, no. I have Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? It's the same type. It's the same type of thing, man. I got what, well, I got this, you got that, so on and so forth and everything, So you're right. When it comes to that type of stuff, inside those niches, it's who has, who has the one, who has you have that. Oh, really? You have one? I have.
So two. The whole thing about like flea market. Go ahead, Oscar. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's kind of like positioning yourself within a market, except they're doing it within their groups.
Yeah, dude, it's exactly what it is, and it's. Can I tell you something? It's very strategic. There is the guy that I was talking about, one of the big names, and I'll send it to you in private. I don't like to mention names, and it's almost like giving a promotion. But these are guys with, I just want you to watch this guy. I don't want you to get caught up in the buzz and this and that. This guy's from Florida, and when he gets excited, he starts screaming off his Spanish and this and that. I don't know if he's doing what, he could be speaking Cuban or Puerto Rican or whatever. But he's just like, and he's getting the whole crowd. He's such a great marketer, but that was just it. Like you said, do you know your market? But do you know your market and the circles within the market? Do you? Because Wall Street was all built on that stuff, and you got markets within markets, and you got the hustle around that. This guy started his first. He calls it a virtual flea, but this is a term that's being yanked and stolen and manipulated. And all the young kids are like, yeah, I got a virtual flea, and like only 12 people show up. You ain't gonna sell nothing, buddy. This guy's got. I've seen up to almost 500 in a live chat on Instagram. I'm like, God, I wish I could have 500 on YouTube. And it's like this guy is. I mean, he's just so good, and it's like he's really, really good at it, and he's an auctioneer. He's sitting there, and he brings people on. Some of these guys charge people to come on. Some of them they give a free platform, and these kids are happy to get their $200 or $300 for a shirt that I know they didn't pay more than $5 for. Okay. You paid $50, you still got $250. That's a nice return.
Oh,
that's
sure.
a nice return. That's a
great return.
That's a gas tank, whatever. So you start looking at it. They're like, why should I go work at Burger King? I'll go to the thrift store and go pick me up a few of these shirts. And I'm telling you, it's a very shut down market. Like, you can't be an old timer coming in there, this and that. They're like, Boomer, what are you doing here? You don't even know our vernacular. You don't even know it's like the old street slangs. It's like whatever.
No, but you're right though, and I think that's happening. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in all the. It's happening in the T-shirt world. It's happening in the sneaker world. It happens in the music.
It's already
world.
happened. It's happened a long time ago.
It's all type of thing and everything. I mean, when you get that closed market, you build the hype.
All you need are two potential customers that are willing to, what they call, the kids love saying, "Oh, buy me out. He bought us out. He bought us out." Meaning, yeah, that little rack that you only had 20 pieces on it, they were probably pretty good. Maybe because and now they're all thinking they're curators and this and that. And some of them are serious with the game. So I respect the hustle. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not trying to come off as condescending, but I see through it. I see through it as a business thing. Whether you're using these terms and this slang and whatever, I get what you're doing. You're doing what everybody else has done in New York all along, or whether it's in Hollywood, they're doing the same hustle. Whether you're up in Chicago and you're selling this product and you're doing it on QVC or whatever it is, it doesn't matter where your market is. It's, do you know your market?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about the other thing, right? Oscar's mentioned a number of times when he went to a store and everything, and he went looking for a product, and there's a little friggin' 15-year-old kid in front of him going ahead and beat him to the product.
Yeah. He just grabbed it. He had his cart full of exactly what I was looking for.
It's like
exactly. And like I said, I don't want to make this about an age thing, because you can't blame that kid for his game, whether he gets it from his dad or whatever, or maybe it's just he's a collector. But that kid, yeah. No, go ahead, please.
No, I got a buddy that he just told me today that look, and he's young. He's like 20 years old. It's like, I got I don't know how many pairs of Bad Bunny shoes that I've sold.
Wow.
$500 a piece, $600 a piece. He shows me, and this is a kid that that I helped him, in the beginning get on eBay and everything, and he's killing it.
They're hungry. They know what they know. If you can do that, and you knew your technology, I mean, I'm talking Swift. This is keen. This is very keen to understand. Their perception is one thing. Their knowledge and their ability of their experience with technology has jettisoned them up to like a higher level in business than. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing though, Louie. If you look at it, they pinpoint and they stay within, right? They're not, if they're a sneaker guy, they're a sneaker guy. They're not a sneaker guy and a music guy and a something else guy, right? If they're a sneaker person,
there's a few that do blend. They're like, you like those kicks? It's going to look good with his Raiders shirt. Come on. Hey baby, buy this thing, baby. And they're just.
But the kid, they're right. But the kid that's reselling, a lot of those, they're pinpointing what they're doing. They know the Bad Bunny, and that they know the sneaker.
And they keep it in an immediate circle.
Yeah, and they focus on those. They focus on that one thing, and you can become. I don't want to say an expert, but you become very educated.
You don't need to be an expert. And you know where the majority.
When you have that one market.
Yeah. Speaking of the one market, I did this study already. The demographic from anywhere from under 25, there's some under 30s. The majority of the demographic under 25 years old that do reselling, whether it's kicks or shirts or stuff like that. Guess where their market is? It's being sold at, and this is just by posting it. It's on Instagram. Soon as they post it, Betty Boop, boom, boom, hey, I gotta have it, boom. It's all private deals. It's all done on a DM. That direct message is so. And I'm telling you, I had a guy. I'm so sick of hearing it. It's like, really, come on, you're that good. No, and I look at their Instagram page, and they only got like a few hundred people, a few hundred, not thousands, like a few hundred. And I'm like, he's like, I just know who I know, and I'm like, that's what you need to know. That's all. You got to know who you know, and that's you're going to be your potential if you think they got the money because they like you. You're cool. There's a guy. There's Jimmy with the swag. Boom, boom. He's got this stuff. He had a Betty Boop like last month, and he told me if he sees it again, he's like, got your back. He had it. Boom. I write them. They're going to be they're doing the work for you. They're writing you. You don't go to them and say, I want. That's brilliant marketing. You don't go to them. Do you want this? Would you like to buy it? Here it is in my post. People underestimate Instagram 100%. I bet you guys don't use your Instagram in a way that these kids might. I'm telling you. I'm not saying you guys are doing wrong. I'm just saying if you put yourself out there, I'm kind of antiquated. I put it like, hey, today I'm doing this today, and come and see us, and come and like, subscribe, blah blah. But I'll tell you what, when I do post my goodies, and it's usually in the stories, I get more hits. I get more inquiries. Did you sell it? What size is it? Can I have it? Okay. Boom.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's
but isn't it
it's funny how Instagram has become a selling platform when I guarantee you that wasn't what it was supposed to be.
A virtual market.
Say what?
A virtual flea market.
Yeah, it is. It's a virtual flea market, man.
That's what they're calling it. They go, hey, you want to come to the virtual flea tonight? Miss it, and you're going to fuck yourself. That's the mentality they have. And it's so good because it goes along with the mentality of TikTok, but it goes along with the mentality of technology is everything's got to be expedient. Everything. Because why? They have a short attention span. And I'm not picking on them. I'm not. And you guys are laughing, but it's like, they're a different generation. I mean, I know adults that are like the same thing, and they're like, "What squirrel?" But it's like it's got to be so quick that the deal has to be done as soon as you post it. And I've already probably counted on both hands how many in each finger is a different person that they've all told me, "Hey, I just posted this. It's already sold." I'm like, some of them 5-10 minutes, some of them within the hour. I'm like, you sold it already? You just found this at the bins. You just found this at the thrift shop. And these are reseller friends that are a little younger than me. And they're like, I just know people. And I'm like, must be nice, But the thing is you got to get savvy, or you get lucky. In this new generation, I'm telling you what, we're going to be the old guys walking around with canes. Son of a bitch, Damn kids. When I was reselling, I had to go to flea markets and walk for 7 hours looking for one T-shirt under 10,000 other pieces of clothes, instead of the walking in snow method.
No, you're 100% correct. 100% correct. So
I don't know. No, I don't know. It's really. I would just say to anybody that's a new reseller or you're watching this, I would just say, how are you looking at it as a reseller? How can you look at it in a new way? How can you look at what you're doing in a new way, a new, fresh way? Do that every month. And I tell you what, your sales are going to increase. Yeah. I'm looking at every angle. And it's like people are, you like going to flea markets? You're like, I don't love it. I don't like coming home, my feet sore, my back's kind of achy. I'm not getting any younger, but I tell you what, I like the hustle. I know how to do the game. It's easy, pushing that pop 10 up and this and that. And I'll tell you what, none of the young kids discriminated against me. They saw what I had. They know that I knew what I knew. And I sold them, And it's like, and I've gotten a lot of nice compliments, and I'm not doing it for that because I'm not about the ego, but they go, you're curating some really good stuff. And I said, thank you. Good. Buy it now. Go buy it then.
Right, yeah.
Buy it.
If it's nice, buy it. You don't need to tell me how nice it is.
Don't go. I want to sell you this. You be my friend, please.
I need to make a friend today.
Mwah.
All right, hey, with that, let's go ahead and wrap this up again. Louie, thanks a lot. Before we go ahead and get going, let's have some closing stuff there. Oscar, what do you have going on, brother?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to get hashtag off your back. So sometime
I
around.
think I'm joking. I'm gonna show you one day.
I'm not. I believe you, and I know that this kid that I'm talking about has probably done it several times.
When you find it next time, like you got your sneaker heads. When you find it, don't tell them I said shirt rats, but when you find a shirt rat, ask them, say, you ever do a buy off your back? They're gonna go, yeah. Hear their story. Listen, do me a favor. Look at it in a new way as a reseller. What are they marketing? How are they doing this? It's clever. Like, you don't have to go to the store and waste your gas to go look for something. They went and bought it off that guy in a Walmart parking lot. By the time they got it, I'm not joking. Half the pictures are on cement ground, and you'll see the yellow line where you park your car, and you'll see the armpit, sticking out of. And they'll take a picture, and it's sold in 10 minutes from the time they bought it.
Yeah.
Tell me that isn't brilliant.
No, it is. It's definitely. It's impressive. It's impressive. But
bless you. Salud.
Thanks.
But aside from the shirt off your back, this weekend we have at 9 p.m. on That Man the Flipper channel. We got the Bad Boys of Reselling. So if anybody's watching wants to go and check it out, it's gonna be on That Man the Flipper channel. Now we're having this show, another reselling show, Wednesday on my channel. That's at 10 p.m. And we might take a look at the opposite side of the flea market, right? We might see the storage unit reseller that sells at the flea market, but you guys have to tune in on next Wednesday at 10 p.m. to see if this happens.
Thank you, sir. Louie, what do you got coming up, man? Tell people where can they find you? What do you got going on, brother?
So I'm hoping I don't have to do a pop-up for at least another week or two. But find me on The Lone Star Picker, both on Instagram, YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing on YouTube. I'm just having fun. I like having access to YouTube because I can be here with you guys. This is a luxury, so I want to thank you for inviting me. And I really do enjoy talking to you guys. You're really well articulated. You guys know the business. It's fun. And, when do I get an opportunity to do this other than coming on like this? So if anybody has any vintage T-shirts, can hit me up on Instagram. No. And then, but seriously, my intentions for being here, is just, I want to see resellers do good. I want to see them really. My favorite saying is maintain your focus and elevate. Really, if you can do better for yourself, you can help other people do better for them. And we all should be here for each other. Come see a show on Mondays. Both my co-host, my buddy Cali Reseller Luis, we do this thing called Mindful Merchants, and you guys need to get on there pretty quick. We're gonna have to book you. I'm sorry, we've just been going like nuts on there. We're on our 33rd episode this Monday. And speaking of Goombades, we got this one guy named Bada Bing. He's coming on there. He's gonna drive us nuts and scream. And it's like that's this Monday. And on Tuesdays we have an auction on Cali Reseller Luis's channel. So
awesome. I thought
he was pissed at me. Hey, Mike, look at this. He's like, oh, Mamma Mia. Oh, Santo Maria.
So you got Mindful Merchants.
Yes, sir. And Cali Reseller is Tuesday night auction. And I broke a record about a couple weeks ago. I sold 50 shirts for about almost $200. So
50 shirts?
Yeah. Smalls and mediums too. And they're just, There's other what I like to do is, how do you move product, a lot of it quick, and not sell one off, just one at a time. Me, it's like, how can I see it in a different way? How can I look at it? It's like wholesale. It's like, how can I move it?
Yeah.
Mikey.
Well, thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Hey, I appreciate everybody who stopped in today.
You're still doing your show with your son, right?
Yeah, we still got Huddle card. We're moving along and everything. We're getting ready to do some other stuff. Do some probably some breaks and some auctions and stuff that we're working on. Just trying to figure out from a standpoint of logistics as to what's a good day, what's and stuff like that and stuff. So we'll
just
get it out.
Just be organic. Have fun.
Yeah, that's all I care about. It's just, it's cool being able to spend time, the special time with him, it looks like it's 10, 15 minutes because you make the video, but it's a lot more and everything. So it's cool to be able to have that time, especially, him being, young in his 20s and everything. It's easy to go ahead, and separate and not want to do anything, with your dad at that point in your of your life.
You're lucky because my daughter, she's running fast away from me. She's only 18. I just helped her boyfriend move him into their new apartment today, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? I figured I gotta stay connected somehow with her.
Yeah. So everybody,
I love that because I watched your thing, and you go, Louie, I got a new channel, and I'm like, oh crap, what's going on? And I watch it. You guys is dynamic. It's beautiful. It's a dad and son love. And that it's great because your grandchildren one day are gonna go back. Was that grandpa? What a weirdo.
Well, the good thing is he is starting to loosen up a little bit, as he does more and more.
He's now a content creator, whether he wants to admit it or not.
Yep, he is.
He's like, and he puts up with you.
He does. Well, hey, you know what? I mean, we'll end the show here with him. You know why?
We're gonna go on for 2 more hours.
No, he puts up with me for one simple reason. He doesn't pay for any shit right now. I'm the front man. I'm the money guy. I was like,
you tell him the next time you guys do a break, the big card is going to buy the next shit.
Well, that's what I tell him. And it was funny. We were getting some cards graded with Anthony Pittsburgh and everything. And I go, hey, Anthony's doing another submission. Do you want to get any cards, of you have graded? He's like, yeah, sure. I got a bunch. I got maybe 10, 15. I'm like, cool. I go, well, it's $9 a card. He goes, what do you mean it's $9 a card? I said,
you're not going to pay for it, Dad?
I said, so what happens is you give the cards to Anthony, and then he charges you $9 for every one of those, and he mails them back to you. That's how it works.
And by the way, once you grade them, those suckers are going to triple,
Well, I'm telling you right now, we did the first one I paid for. We did through GMA.
Oh, okay.
GMA is like, they're the lower ranked of the grading companies, but he sold an Anthony Edwards that he got graded. It graded a Gem Mint 10. His first sale on eBay, $45.99 plus shipping. Next thing you know, he has about 75, 80 cards listed on eBay, and he's selling that boom. A $5 card here.
You did good, Dad. You did good. You got him. You got him. I hope he doesn't watch me say this, but you got him good. You got him.
I'm trying.
Hey, all that money you're making on eBay, son. Pay Anthony.
There you go. Now you can afford. $9
There you go.
Oscar,
thanks, how many kids do you have?
We will see you guys next weekend. Don't go anywhere, fellas. We'll continue.